Welcome to the 10th video on presentation and writing tips. In this video we will talk about the last components in the thesis that come in the very end, the appendix and the references. And they come in the opposite order, so the references come first and the appendix is the very end. So you are free to use this material as long as you say where it's from, and this is one of the last videos. So, references, what are they for? Well, if you say something, you have a statement, and you want to support that statement because it's not common knowledge to the reader, and you're not arguing for it further, but you can find those arguments elsewhere, and you don't want to give those arguments now. Then you can, instead of repeating all those arguments and all the data and everything that has led to those statements, you can just give a reference. And these references should be complete so that the source can be found in a unique way. And if you have an article, which is the main thing that you should have, then there are a few things that really are mandatory. It's the name of the first author, the journal, year, the issue number, and the page number. So these things really have to be there. And then all other things are sort of optional, but typically you follow a style where you also have lots of other things. You have the title of the paper, and you have all the authors, and maybe even have a Dewey number and so on. And there are many styles that you can do this, and you can pick any style you want to. But I want to say that you should use primary references. So you should use references to papers, scientific papers when possible, or books. And homepage is only for things that are not scientific, and like a link to a scientific network, or to a homepage of some software or something like this, that for which there is no paper. And you can read in various places about various ways, various formats or styles, and some of them are given here in Swedish, but they're also in all sorts of other places in the web. So let's go to the very last thing, the appendix and the supplementary material. So the appendix is usually a part of the book or paper or thesis, whereas the supplementary material, usually you use that name to something that is actually in a separate place. And supplementary material can even be something else than written words and figures. It can be a video or some a software or some scripts that can be used to run a program or something like this. So something completely different than reading and viewing. And both of these things can be used to go more in depth into things that you touch upon in the actual thesis or paper, but that you don't want to deal with all the details of, because it might disrupt the flow. So things that aren't figures, for instance, that aren't really needed to get the main points of the story, but it might be interesting to check out if you are an interested reader and you want to sort of check some related things, or you want to double check some things, or you want to get more the complete picture. Those kind of figures you should include. But as always, it's not the biggest appendix or supplementary material that wins. It's the best argumentation, that one that has the best and clearest arguments, that is the winner. And less is more. So don't have 200 figures there. Have as few figures as you can, but still sort of that might be interesting. And importantly, results should be completely reproducible. So this means that all the material that is needed to reproduce all the results that you have presented should be there in the appendix or supplementary material. if it's not there already in the method or result section. So if you have used some MATLAB script to obtain some key results, those scripts should be there. So let's just, to wrap this up, have some two specific cases. So is it okay to publish a thesis that is makes use of mathematical modeling without sending in all the simulation files? And there are different answers you may consider. And yes, as long as you send in all files that have been used to generate the figures and tables and the results that have to do with these values, then it's fine. You might say, no, all files that you have used in the entire project should be included, so that everything can be backtracked and see. Is it okay without sending in all the simulation files? Yes, it is okay. You don't need to send in the files as long as all the information is there in the text. Now you vote. And the answer here is that A and C are true. You don't have to send in everything as long as it's there in the text. But you should do A. You should include all the scripts and files that has been used to generate the key figures and tables and the results that has been used to do these things. In principle, C is okay, but in reality, you're usually missing things, and it's really pain. It takes a lot of time to implement things from scratch. So you will help future students a lot and future scientists a lot if you also include the scripts. And let's have one more question. So, say that you want to say that, for instance, 350,000 people have type 2 diabetes in Sweden. And this is a statement that the reader might not believe, so you might want to reference, or you might not. Is this common knowledge? Is it sufficient to reference the homepage of the Swedish Diabetes Association, Wikipedia? Wikipedia, where you specify some further details such as when the information was taken, a report that was published by the Swedish Diabetes Association, a scientific paper saying this, but where they haven't actually checked this themselves, they only state this themselves, and a scientific paper that investigates these issues. So which of these alternatives are okay? Now we vote. And the answer is that only E, F, and G are okay. All of these things, home pages of various sorts, are not okay. The best thing, the strongest thing here I could point out is to point to the original scientific paper. But sometimes that paper is very old, and then it might also be good to point to a scientific paper that cites this paper, but that is newer and that sort of has taken all the possible contradictory results into account. So a combination of F and G is probably the best for these kind of statements, or any types of statements where you want to do a reference. But this is in principle okay. Okay, that was it. Now I have talked about all the components that are included in a report.